Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're doing something a little bit different. Today we're going to be opening up the new Final Fantasy VII Universes Beyond, Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond Final Fantasy VI Commander deck. We're going to be cracking open, seeing what you get inside, seeing some of the cards, and I'll be evaluating them based on my very limited experience with Magic the Gathering, as well as how accurate to the lore of the game it is. There will be a a challenge video on Final Fantasy VI at some point on my main channel, so go subscribe to that. But let's get into the video. Final Fantasy VI Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond Commander deck, Revival Trance. We got our giant Terra card at the front. Terra being the main commander, or the primary commander. There is an alternative commander normally in these. Here's some of the cards in the back. It does come with a collector booster if you want to see me the sample collector booster. I should say it comes. Let's take this off to the side real quick. We have our cardboard deck box. Terra on the front, mana symbols side. Bit different from the other deck boxes. This is taller, while the other ones are elongated, a bit longer, but okay. Guess if you need a deck spot desperately. So we get some tokens along the side as well as some lore tokens. Around the back we get our actual deck. There it is. A player's guide. And some stuff you can poke out. So I guess Celeste is the alternative commander, which is... if this ever comes out, my Final Fantasy VI challenge playthrough, these two are very relevant to it. So it's kind of nice that Celeste is actually technically the alternative commander to this. And then in here, we have our sample collector booster sample. So open that at the end. But right now, we've got the... I guess this is the guide to how to play this. Playing this deck, gather your team and restore the world's balance and order. In this deck, what doesn't kill you truly makes you stronger. Which in Final Fantasy VI, a lot of things die. So this is all about putting stuff into the graveyard and then having Terra return it. And then if Celeste is in play, every creature gets a +1 counter, and this gives you the basic rules. You get Terra there, and then the other side it's Terra's backs down, and then Celeste's background infused with magic during her childhood. And then it goes through all the different colors and what they mean. Okay. I found more. Oh my god, every time I come back I'm like, hey guys, I managed to get some more off. There we go. And it all just falls apart. The issue is there's a giant ass tripod in my way between this. Oh, this is going to be awful, so we're just going to stick it here. We got some of the tokens. The blackjack. I was really hoping for the other ship to be on the other side. The monarch card. The blackjack. The ship. And the monarch again. We have some copy cards, copy tokens, and Moogle. Copy, Moogle. Copy, Moogle. Copy, Moogle. Treasure token on the other side is a Moogle. But how many Moogles am I meant to be making with this deck? Treasure token and a Moogle. Treasure token and a Moogle? Oh my god. Crazy. Treasure token and the Moogle. Right, let's get into some of the cards now. We have Coin of Fate. This artifact enters Surveil 1, so you're able to put something into the graveyard and exile 2 creatures from the graveyard. Sacrifice this artifact as an opponent chooses one of the exile. Oh, so you basically you put a card into your graveyard, and then for 4 mana, 3 generic, 1 planes. Target opponent picks one of the creatures you want to return to the battlefield, tapped, and then I become the monarch. Very nice. It's going to help with the plan. We got Cyan, the Samurai. The spell costs 1 loss for each creature card in your graveyard. 7 mana, 6 generic, 1 white for a 3/3. But thanks to Terra's ability, you should be able to cheap him out. Whenever one of your creatures leave your graveyard, you put a +1 counter on Cyan, and he has double strike. Okay. Cyan has like many abilities, but sure. General Leo, you only get to play with him for 5 seconds, and Kefka beats him up. When Incho enters, return up to 1 target creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then you put a +1 counter on General Leo for each creature you control. That's pretty nice. I mean, if you've got a number of creatures out, you could get big really quickly. And it also returns a creature from the card. Espers to Magicite, exile opponent's graveyard. When you do, choose up to 1 target creature exiled this way, create a token copy. So, it's an artifact and loses all other card types. That's sort of what happens to the Espers. They all die, and when they die, they get turned into a Magicite, which you can then learn all the spells. The Falcon airship. There we go. That's the second airship. Deals combat damage to a player. You may sacrifice it when you do return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Another way to recur creature cards from your graveyard and return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Oh, so it has its own way to come back to the battlefield. Does it? It's only do it when it does combat damage. Can it return? Very nice. Interceptor, Shadow's Hound, Menace. Assassins you control have Menace. I like how the fact that Interceptor helps out with Shadow if you have him on board. Whenever you attack with 1 or more legendary creatures, you may pay 2 and 1 swamp. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. So it has another way of it returning. Very nice. Rejoin the fight. Mill 3 cards, then starting with next opponent in turn order. Each opponent chooses a creature card in your graveyard that hasn't been chosen. Return this way to the battlefield under your control. Again, this is better for a multiplayer format rather than a head-on-head commander game. These decks are designed to be played against each other as 3 others. So yeah, that's very nice. If you've got limited cards in your graveyard, and there's a good chance that you're going to be able to pop off when you play this 5 and 1 swamp. And here's Shadow, the mysterious assassin. Death Touch. Throw. When Shadow deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice another non-land permanent. If you do, draw 2 cards, and each opponent loses life equal to the value sacrificed to this permanent. Very on theme for Shadow. His main gimmick is throw in Final Fantasy VI. Basically, you can throw one of your weapons at the enemy, and it does damage based on the weapon. Pretty cool. Siegfried, famed swordsman. Menace. When Siegfried enters, mill 3 cards and put +X1. Then put X +1 counters on Siegfried, where X is the number of creatures cards in your graveyard. Again, this is very graveyard synergy theme. You want cards in your graveyard, and then you want to bring them back out. Yeah, that seems pretty good. I like how he gets stronger, because in the game when you first meet him, it's a bit of a pushover. And then we have Gal, Feral Youth, Raid. Whenever Gal attacks, put a +1 counter on it. Okay, that seems fair enough. At the beginning of each end step, if your card left your graveyard this turn, Gal deals damage equal to each opponent. And now Gal in the game can basically learn enemy skills. He goes off, fights a bunch of enemies, then comes back, and then he can become that enemy. So he's sort of like Go-Go, where Go-Go in the game just copies whoever's move was used last. Gal actually becomes that enemy and can do all their abilities and attacks. But yeah, we got Go-Go, Mysterious Mime, who's also in Final Fantasy V. You should go check that video out on my channel for the challenge run. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have Go-Go become a copy of another target creature you control until end of turn, except its name is Go-Go, Mysterious Mime. If you do, Go-Go and that creature each get +2 and gain haste until end of turn and attack each able. That seems more on Phil than Gal. Like, he copies your creatures. I feel like Gal should copy your opponent's creatures for a turn, but that's just me. Alright, Saban, Master Monk, Double Strike, Blitz, discard a card. If you cast this spell for its Blitz cost, it gains haste. Okay. When this creature dies, draw a card. Sacrifice it at the end of your next end step. You may cast this card from your graveyard using Blitz ability. Alright, so he just comes back. Yeah, I guess. Raging Fist, I don't know, it just seems like good recursion. Doesn't really feel like it fits Saban. Snort! Each player may discard their hand and draw 5 cards, and Snort deals 5 damage to each opponent who discarded their hand this way. Oh my god. So you can discard your hand and then draw 5 cards, which is what you want to do. Your opponents may necessarily not want to do that unless they have some recursion from their graveyard as well. Snort in a game basically pushes one of your party members out of the battle. So I guess discarding your hand is similar. That's pretty good. Stargo Unrealm! Sketch and Lore. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant, sorcery, or creature card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this creature. Yeah, that does fit Stargo Realm. Stargo copy can learn blue magic, which means abilities enemies can use. And Sketch copies a creature, so a creature starts attacking its copy, or the copy starts attacking its original. So yeah, that's pretty on brand for them. And then we get into the new summons. So these are basically Saga's creatures, which is pretty interesting. Summon Espel Veogarmada. Exile an instant or sorcery card from each graveyard. And then for chapters 2, 3, and 4, add each for each lore counter on this saga. So in chapter 2, you get 2, and then chapter 3, you get 3, and then in chapter 4, you get 4 mana, but then you have to sacrifice it. You may cast instant or sorcery card exiled this way. You may cast an instant or sorcery card exiled with this saga, and mana of any type can be spent on that spell. Okay, so you exile it, and then you can just add mana. And then the mana exiled card can be anything. So you do it from each graveyard. Oh, okay, you do it from each graveyard. Oh, that makes sense now why it's 4. Okay. That makes sense. Umoru, Raging Yeti, Trample. At the beginning of your combat, on your turn, choose one at random. Okay, that's going to be interesting. Other creatures you control get +3/+0 and gain Trample to end of turn. That's good. Discard your hand and draw 4 cards. Emerald deals 5 damage to any target. Yeah, that seems pretty good. On theme for this deck. We got Bannon! The Returner's Leader. This guy was so annoying. If he died, you would get a game over. But, pray, once during each of your turn, you may cast a creature spell from among cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere other than the battlefield this turn. Oh. You may cast a creature. So you still have to pay for its mana. Whenever you attack, you may pay 1 and discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So you can, if you don't have any in your graveyard that you want to return, you can attack with this guy, pay 1, and then you can hopefully have enough mana to cast it back. Edgar, Master Machinist. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an artifact spell from your graveyard. If you cast a spell this way, that artifact enters tab, so you can't pop off. Whenever Edgar attacks, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the greatest value artifact you control. So, I guess there's some like recursion of putting artifacts cards in your graveyard and coming back, so it does fit with the theme of the deck, but I can see this card being better in other sorts of decks. And then it gaining +X for the highest value card. You may cast the artifact, so you have to cast the artifact for it to come back. So you need to put a lot of mana into this just to for it to pep off. Kefka, Dancing Man. During your turn, Kefka has Indestructible. Very on theme. At the beginning of your end step, exile a card at random from each opponent's graveyard. You may cast any number of spells among cards exiled this way without paying the mana cost. Oh my god. Then search a player who owns a spell to cast this way, they lose life. Then each player who owns a spell you cast this way loses life with mana value. So you attack, because he's indestructible. Yes, he is immune to sacrifice and exiles, but that's fine. And then you get to cast stuff from the opponent's graveyard, and then they take damage. Well, that seems pretty... It's only sorceries, right? Or spells. Spells, okay. Lock, Treasure Hunter. Lock can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Okay. Mug, whenever Lock attacks, each player mills a card. If a land card was milled this way, create a treasure token. Until end of turn, you may cast a spell from among those cards. Oh, okay. Each player mills a card. So everybody mills a card, and if it's milled a land, you get a treasure token. Anything else, I cast it. Oh, okay, that's it. I guess that makes sense with Mug and Treasure. Mogul Warrior, Lifelink, Dance. At the beginning of your end step, each player may discard a card. Each player who discards a card this way draws a card. For each card was discarded this way, you create a 1/2 white Moogle creature token with Lifelink. Then, if a non-creature card was discarded this way, put a +1/+1 counter on each Moogle control. Oh my god, that seems like that could pop off. No wonder you got so many Moogle tokens in this with this deck. Setzer, Wandering Gambler. When Setzer enters, create the Blackjack legendary 3/3 colorless vehicle artifact token with flying and crew 2, so you can't have multiples of that token, so I don't know why they give you 2. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, flip a coin. Whenever you win a flip, create 2 tapped treasures. He has a mechanic called Slot, which if you manage to get, I think it's like 777, you get instant death for all the enemies. In the speed run of Final Fantasy VI, there is a category called no slots, because once you get Cessna, you can pretty much guaranteed always getting the death trigger if you know what you're doing. So they had to create a separate category, but you're not allowed to use that. Otherwise, you just play Setzer and just win. The Warring Triad. Flying, trample, haste. As long as there are fewer than 8 cards in your graveyard, the Warring Triad isn't a creature. Okay. Sort of like the gods. Yeah, it is a god card. So it's the gods of like old. It's usually like depending. When I played Pharaohs, its affinity, or if you've had like a certain amount of pips of color, then it would become a creature. If it wasn't, it was just generally just an enchantment. But this is an artifact. As long as so you need 8 or more cards in your graveyard, which this deck can do pretty easily. Middle card, target player adds 1 mana of any color. Okay, so you can middle card and then you can give someone mana. Yeah, that's worded kind of weird that you probably just want to do it for yourself, but okay. Maybe you want to do some shenanigans. And then the Sun Titan. So this is not from Final Fantasy, this is from Magic the Gathering. Standard, I don't want to say standard, but a very popular commander card where when this creature enters or attacks, you may return target primary card, mana 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. A lot of shenanigans with this card. Tragic Arrogance. For each player, you may choose among the permanent that player controls an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker. Then each player sacrifices all other non-land permanents. So it's basically a board wipe. Yeah, this sounds. I think this is a Magic the Gathering card. Yeah, just board wipe. Archfiend of Depravity. I'm guessing this is meant to be Death Gaze, but at the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player chooses up to 2 creatures they control and sacrifices the rest. Yeah, this is. I think this is just a Magic card, but they've stuck Death Gaze on it, which makes sense. And this is definitely a Magic card. Reanimate. Put target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield you control. You lose life equals to its mana value. Very standard. Not very standard. Classic. I should say. I keep saying standard for classics. Rise of the Dark Realms. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Classic Magic card. Sepulchral Primordial. Creature avatar Intimidate. When this creature enters, for each opponent, you may put up to one target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. I think this is from... I want to say Gate Crash. I think this is from Gate Crash. This is when, around about the time when I started playing. I think it's from Gate Crash. Yeah, there was like the... Or Maze's End. Could be Maze's End. Combustible Gearhulk is Galadesh. First strike, when this enters, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If the player doesn't, you mill 3 cards, then the creature deals damage to the players equals to the total mana values of those cards. Which explains why some of these cards are quite expensive, because you want to mill those and they'll do damage. Most of the time, the opponent wants you to probably mill, but in this deck, mill either way is great for you. You either draw the 3 cards or you mill them, and you want that anyway, and you get a bonus of doing damage. Flayer of the Hatebound Undying. When this creature dies, it comes back with +1/+1 counter. Whenever a creature or another creature enters from your graveyard, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Very nice in this deck. Ruin Grinder Menace. When this creature dies, each player may discard their hand and draw 7 cards. Very nice. Get your stuff into your graveyard, and it has Mountain Cycling. Just a nice for the 99. Bedevil! Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Standard removal. Legion of Ashes. Exile non-land permanent and permanent controls and all tokens that player controls with the same name as that permanent. Again, good removal, just in case somebody starts creating clones and stuff. Priest of Felrites. Pay 3 life, sacrifice the creature, return the target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. Unearth, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield, it gains haste. Exile at the beginning of your next end stop. So basically, you can unearth it, return it, then sacrifice it by paying 3 and return another creature card you want. Probably with greater mana value. Ruinous Ultimatum. Destroy all non-permanents your opponents control. Again, another great board wipe. Key to the City. Discard a card. Up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn. When this artifact becomes untapped, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Just a great way to get your commander in to do unblocked damage. Standard. Solemn Sacred Requiem. I'm pretty sure every time something has graveyard recursion, you've got to have a Solemn Sacred Requiem. When this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto battlefield tapped and shuffle. When this creature dies, you draw a card. And I guess it looks like this time they're using the Magitac armor. And we got Battlefield Forge. It's a pain land because if you want to tap it for a colorless, it doesn't hurt you. But if you want to tap it for a red or white, it hurts you. And then we have a Cliff Drop Retreat, which is enter tapped unless you control a mountain or plains. Desolate Mire is a filter land because you can put another. You could use your, let's say, clear Battlefield Forge, tap it for a generic, and then tap this, and you can get your white or black because it doesn't tap for anything unless you put mana into it. Dragon Skull Summit is basically you need to control a swamp or mountain. Exalted Orchard is whatever your opponent's mana is. Pretty good for like really high multicolored decks, but if your opponents are not playing red, black, or white, it's kind of a dud. We got another filter land that's slightly better because it can tap for generic. This is revealed. You reveal a card and then it can tap, unless if you don't reveal a card, which is a mountain or swamp, it comes in tapped. And it's the same for the Snarl. And we have another filter land that can tap for generic. High Market, sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life. You want to put something in your graveyard to recur it. Isolated Chapel is you need a plains or a swamp, otherwise it comes intact. And we got another filter land in Rugged Perry. Shadowblood Ridge is another filter land, but doesn't tap for anything. And this is another reveal card one. Shine Shadow Snow. Soldering Marsh. This land enters tapped unless you control 2 or more basics. Sulphurous Spurge, add 1 or black. This still does, so there's another pain land. Filter land. And we have a Phoenix Down. Exile this artifact, choose 1, return target creature with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Exile target skeleton, spirit, or zombie. Yes, because Phoenix Downs can instant kill skeleton, spirits, or zombies unless they want to have a boss that is immune to it or has high evasion from it. In which case you just use an elixir instead. Laughing Mad. Discard a card. Draw 2 cards and has flashback. Obviously Kefka has to be on it. Theme song. Angel of Ruin. This creature exiles up to 2 target artifacts or enchantment. And then you can plane cycle to get plane. So very good or good removal. Palace Jailer. You become the Monarch. And then you exile target a creature an opponent controls. And it remains exiled as long as you want the Monarch. Which is fine as long as you keep the Monarch. But chances are they're going to immediately hit you and take the Monarch off of you. Morbid Opportunities. Whenever 1 or more creatures die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once per turn. Okay. You draw 2 cards and you lose 2 lives. Night's Whispers. Some more cards. Hitless Plunderer. Whenever a creature you control dies, treasure token. There needs to be like more sack outlets, I think. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return that threshold. Return that card from your graveyard to the battlefield if there are 7 more cards in your graveyard, which is probably what you want anyway. When this creature enters or dies, mill 3 cards. Great way of getting stuff into the graveyard. Anger. This boss. I'm not going to talk about it. You got to wait for my video. But has haste, and if it's in your graveyard, creatures you control, and you control a mountain, creatures you control have haste. So you want it in your graveyard. Big Score. As additional cost of spell, discard a card and you draw 2 cards and create treasure tokens. Very nice. Crackling Down. 2 damage to each opponent. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. Some removal. Mortify. Some more removal. Destroy target creature or enchantment. Arcane Signet for that mana ramp. 2 generic, and then you can add 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity. A command sphere, add 1 mana card in your commander's identity, and then you sacrifice this to draw a card. Meteor Golem comes in and destroys something. Nice. Minikin, it's just a great way to mill and then add mana. If you want to get stuff into your graveyard. Mind Stone is another way of getting adding generic mana. That was mill. I was thinking of Millstone. Sorry. And then sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Soul Ring is in every commander precon. 1 generic to add 2 generic. And Swift Fruit Boost also feels like it's in every is in every commander deck nowadays. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. You want to equip this to your commander most of the time. Talisman of Conviction. This is another mana rock to get more mana. Sort of pains you. Talisman of Indulgence also just pains you. It's very similar to the other one. Wayfarer's Bauble. Sacrifice this artifact. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield. Another way to kind of ramp. Ash Barrens is... And just get this discard this card so you can get into your graveyard. Fill it up. Demolition Field. Sacrifice this land, destroy target non-basic land and opponent controls. Sacrifice this land, destroy non-basic land and opponent controls, and then opponent searches for their basic land. So if they've got like a dual land or even a triome, you can basically turn it into just 1 land. And if they've got no more basic cards, then it's gone. But they probably do have a basic card. Sacrifice this land, search for your land for a basic land card. It's Evolving Wilds. We got more dual land, Swamp Mountain. This land enters tapped, so this is going to enable a lot of your cards. And then, speaking of trilands, great. Path of Ancestry is basically I don't know. Add 1 mana of your color in your commander's identity. With that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shows a creature type of your commander. Scry 1. Is what I was trying to say. Great commander card. Rogue's Passage. Target creature can't be blocked. Just a way for your commander to get through, or your creatures to get through. And then we got some more dual lands that come in tapped. Great. Command Tower in almost every command deck. All commander decks basically add 1 mana of your commander's color identity. And then we got some basic Fallout lands. Very nice. We got the Plains. Plains again. I think we got 2 of each type. Unfortunately, these are just from the set and are not tied to particularly the commander deck. So this is 7 Heaven from Final Fantasy VII. This is the road from Final Fantasy 15. When your car breaks down, you gotta push it. Oh, this is from Final Fantasy 14. I probably haven't got to that bit yet. What was this? Final Fantasy 2? Is that meant to be the Jade Passage? Or the Snow Caverns? Jade Passage or Snow Cavern? I think it's meant to be the Jade Passage. We got Final Fantasy 5. Oh, this is the shipwreck. The ship graveyard. Very nice. Cosmo Canyon? No, this is 6. So this is like the mountains. There's loads of mountain cave bits. So I think it's meant to be Zozo Mountain because I recognize the bridge. This is Final Fantasy 4. This is where big plot things happen. Big plot things happen. This is Final Fantasy 1, Mount Gulag. And we have our rules on your turn, how to play. And then we got the 2 final cards. We have Celeste Ruined Knight. When Celeste enters, discard any number of cards. Then you draw that many +1. And whenever 1 or more of the creatures you control enter, if 1 or more of them entered from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard, put +1/+1 crown on each creature controlled. Celeste is the alternative commander. And then, of course, we have Terror, Herald of Hope, Trance at the beginning of your air combat. On your turn, mill 2 cards, Terror gains flying, and then when deals combat damage, you may pay 2. When you do, return target creature with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, that's why there's a number of creatures that are particularly high CMC, high cost, but low power and toughness. Alright, open up. See, collector booster. So this is meant to be like sort of a sample for what you can get from a collector booster. Oh my god, there we go. So let's see what we get. We got Tartaru Taru. When Tartaru Taru enters, you draw a card, then target opponent may draw a card. Okay. Whenever opponent draws a card, if it isn't that player's turn, create a tap treasure token. This bit of triggers once. Okay. And then we've got Transpose. A lot of Final Fantasy 14 cards from this. Draw a card, then discard a card. If you do lose a life, when you lose a life. This card spell was cast from your hand. Create a 0 black 1 wizard creature token with when a cast a non-creature spell token that deals 1 damage to opponent 3 down. They should never have given us this much power. Secret Lair. Advert. Well, that's the deck. A lot of graveyard recursion, a lot of standard cards you would see from this type of reanimator deck. It's nice to have reanimate. Yeah, some of the cards feel very on theme, like Celeste, Terra, and then some others like Garu kind of feel, and maybe even Sabin and a bit. I say even Cyan feel like they just got designed around trying to fit the deck rather than try and fit their abilities. But let me know what you think in the comments section down below, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Morse. Marvelous. Together on the track. Let's go. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus, red sus. Red sus us.